Hello, so here we are again with the projection of the astral body by Sylvan Muldoon and Hereward Carrington. Thank you so much for continuing to follow my journey. I do appreciate your support. It's very welcome. Thank you. So we're continuing today with page 151, how fasting aids astral projection. Again, I just have to mention that in regards to the effects that they are suggesting in the book, nobody here is suggesting that you don't eat in order to achieve this this level of ascension. So now let's get on to the good bit. How fasting aids astral projection. Since we are speaking of energy being cosmic and not produced wholly by the foods we eat, let us recall what Christ said of food. Man does not live by bread alone. Christ was known to undergo long fast, and there is good reason to believe that he did so in order to produce spiritual phenomena, perhaps to aid him in travelling in his spiritual body. We have learned one of the reasons why fasting tends to liberate the astral body, and to avoid any misunderstanding, we will review it. Sleep, food, and breathing are sources of bodily energy. Sleep is the main source, for as Schopenhauer said, sleep is to the individual what winding is to the clock. Food is a secondary source of energy, and thus when a fast is undertaken, this secondary source of energy is shut off. The astral body, the condenser of energy, always discoincides from the physical during sleep for the purpose of recharging, and during a fast must condense a greater quantity of prana to make up for the deficiency caused by the fast. The farther out of coincidence the more energy the astral body gathers, the more easily it recharges itself or is recharged. Hence, during a fast, it moves out farther into the stream, which means nothing more than it projects farther than the zone of the quietude, which is normal sleep. This is but one reason why fasting is a positive factor in projection of the astral body. There is another reason, which will be discussed under suppressed desire. It has often been observed that sometimes a blow or whatnot which produces unconsciousness will cause the victim to feel more energetic after regaining consciousness. The reason is obvious. The astral body moved out some distance into the cosmic stream of energy, and here is another observation I have made. Consciousness uses up energy. Consciousness, merely being awake, uses up energy just as exertion uses it up. You can sit still or lie motionless and be conscious, and you use up energy. Here is something else I wish to impress upon your mind. Although the astral body recharges, when it moves out of coincidence with the physical or separates from it, unconsciousness is necessary in order to reap the full benefit of recharging. If you project the astral and retain consciousness all the time, you will not recharge the astral body. Unconsciousness is a necessary factor in conjunction with separation. I have noticed many times that after experiencing an entirely conscious projection, I still felt enervated upon recoinciding with the physical, in fact more so than upon retiring. And on the other hand, I have found that when the projection was unconscious, i.e. when merely caught myself in the act of interiorizing and therefore knew I had been projected, I always felt invigorated. Sometimes to the extent that upon awakening I actually believed I could fly off the ground. It is very common to experience a dog-tired feeling after an exteriorization that has been conscious, accompanied by a headache in the back of the head. I am convinced, for my part at least, that spirits in the lower planes must become unconscious, for consciousness uses up energy, no matter whether one be in the astral body or in the physical body. There is strong evidence to support the contention of many occultists that sleep, unconsciousness, is not brought about by a condition of the material body, but is caused by some agency outside the physical body. Such theories as cerebral hyperemia, cerebral anemia, and other material influence must be discarded. They do not cause sleep, neither does the withdrawal of the astral body, for even that entity sleeps and can be unconscious and projected, or conscious and projected. Chapter 8, page 153. Consciousness during astral projection. Although in the majority of cases of astral projection, consciousness is chiefly a matter of chance. That is, it seems to be chance whether or not consciousness be present. There is little doubt in my mind that schemes could be worked out, or influences brought to bear, which would have some effect in bringing full consciousness to the projected entity. Of course, it is possible to be conscious from the very beginning of exteriorization, but this is not usually the case, and in many projections in which I have become conscious, I have analysed the causes which, I believe, arouse consciousness. Some of these causes are not unlike those which bring about consciousness while the bodies are in coincidence. Unless consciousness be present from the very beginning of a projection, it will first begin to manifest itself in the form of a dream. It seldom comes suddenly, but slowly. When the phantom is projected, a dream always preceding it, and it works itself out of the dream. If the dream corresponds to the action of the phantom, consciousness is more likely to appear. That is why dream control is such an important factor. I will now tell you of an awakening which illustrates this point. You will see the difference between dream consciousness and real consciousness. A true dreaming experience. I was dreaming I had entered a massive hall with a high ceiling, skylights and coloured windows. It was a large room when I first entered it, but after being within it for a short time, I noticed that it had changed. It was now a small room, and there was but one small hole in the centre of the ceiling through which I could see light. As I remember the dream, the room was about 12 feet square, and I stood on the floor in the centre of the room, looking up through the hole in the centre of the ceiling. That was the only opening through which I could escape, since the doors and windows which I had first observed had disappeared. There I stood, looking up and wondering about how I was ever going to escape. There was no way in which I could climb up to the window, for the walls were perfectly bare, and there was nothing in the room upon which I could stand on. So there I stood, looking up through the hole in the centre of the ceiling. It seemed that I stood there for some time, when suddenly I wondered if I could not fly through the hole. I began to rise into the air, but as I was passing through the hole I became caught fast in it. Half my body, from my hips down, remained inside the room, and the upper half was outside. There I was, stuck fast. I could not move either way. At this point I began to awaken and realise what was taking place. I found myself projected. Yes, it was the same old story, awakening from a dream and finding myself exteriorised. But the interesting thing was that the position of the body, astral, corresponded with the position it held in the dream. I was just halfway through the ceiling of the room when I became conscious. That is, I had moved upward, directly over the shell, had uprighted, and was half above and half below the ceiling on awakening. This is merely one of the many awakenings I have experienced when emerging from a dream, and I have noticed every time that when the dream corresponds to the action of the astral body, real consciousness generally appears. When the dream corresponds to the action of the astral body, it will always cause that body to exteriorize. Awakened in the astral by a noise. Here is another example in which noise participated. Before retiring one evening, I had been reading of an Indian massacre. The leader of the band of Indians was named Little Priest. After going to sleep, I began to dream. I was in a clearing of the wilderness. The clearing was quite large, about 60 feet square. I had a gun with me, and as I was passing through the clearing in the wilderness, I suddenly saw Indians poking their heads through the trees and under the brush all around me. I raised my gun to begin to fire at them, first at one and then at another. It was one continual bang, bang, bang. It seemed that the gun I was using made a very loud noise, unusually loud, making me tremble every time I discharged it. Yet I could not stop shooting, or the Indians would get me. But that awful bang, 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 how it went through me. Next I saw the chief of the Indians. It was Little Priest, and he was coming through the clearing toward me. To kill and scalp me, I feared. So I turned the gun toward him and fired. Bang, 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 but I could not seem to hit him. And he was getting nearer and nearer. As he approached me, I dropped the gun and began to cringe back. But the bang, bang, bang continued. It was growing more distinct, and I was forgetting about the Indian chief. I was conscious. It was a windy night, and the screen door outside was slamming back and forth in the wind. Bang, bang, bang. I found myself, when conscious that I had projected into the astral, and standing near my shotgun behind the door of the kitchen. But that was not all. There stood an Indian spirit, and he said, "You call little priest." That's very interesting. Wow. These are but 2 examples of how one becomes conscious when projected in the astral body. I could cite many, many more, but that would take a book as large as this one. Considering only the last case, had I been within cord activity range when this banging and fearful Indian fighting commenced, an interiorization would have resulted because of the emotion. You can readily see how consciousness is faintly functioning in a dream, and that it is but a step from a dream to complete awakening. The Dream World, page 155. There is a dream world. Where you are dreaming, you are not really in the same world as when you are conscious, in the physical, although the 2 worlds merge into one another. While dreaming, you really are in the astral plane, and usually your astral body is in the zone of quietude. The distance of separation has nothing to do with it. Once detached, whether slightly or remotely, you are in the astral plane. Perhaps this is the first time you have ever realized that you've entered the astral world every time you go to sleep and disco inside. The fact the astral world every time you go to sleep. The fact that you stay in the zone of quietude does not make you or any less in the astral world. When out of coincidence you are attuned with, or in harmony or vibration with, both astral and physical worlds. You can be conscious, partially conscious, or unconscious, either within or out of coincidence. In a dream you are partially conscious, and can be discoincided. Your mind is thus a receiving station for the vibratory waves, either waves carrying with them thoughts, sounds, influences, music, voices, and whatnot, of 2 worlds, and it is through the reception of these impressions that many dreams are instigated. When you fall, or really rise to sleep, if the conscious mind be locked up partially, it functions in conjunction with the subconscious. Sorry, my cat is knocking everything over. Come on. Come on. Sorry, I apologise, it's really bad. Sorry. Okay. When you fall or really rise to sleep, if the conscious mind be locked up partially, it functions in conjunction with the subconsciousness, and the material for dreams is obtained from the thoughts, noises, etc. of 2 worlds. If the conscious mind be locked up tightly, you do not dream, or I should say, you do not remember having dreamed on awakening. When you are asleep, your vibration reception ability is greater than when you are physically awake. When sleeping, you are not unlike a medium, but being unconscious, you do not realize it. If partially conscious, you are open to the vibration of the 2 worlds. If you awaken from a dream in the physical body, your vibration reception ability is attuned to the physical plane, and if you are awakened from a dream while projected in the astral body, your vibration reception ability covers both astral and physical planes. The dream state lies between complete consciousness and complete unconsciousness. So you can see that once projected and dreaming, it is but a step into complete consciousness. The astral body has well been termed the dream body, for it is in that body that we dream. Even though we may be in coincidence, or but a fraction of an inch of coincidence, or completely separated from the physical. Instigation of dreams cannot be credited to any single cause. The influences which bring them about are so numerous, cryptic, and subtle that it is doubtful whether we shall ever understand the true significance of a nocturnal fantasy. But we can, by using the knowledge we have gleaned, use dreams to promote astral projection. Concerning dreams, there is one rule which one must remember. When the action of self in the dream corresponds to the action of the astral phantom, the dream will cause the phantom actually to exteriorize. The skeptic may say, how do you know that? If the action of the self in the dream corresponds to the action of the phantom while projecting, it will cause projection. There is but one answer. Experience proves it. Although it takes the reader but a couple of seconds to read that rule, it took the writer several years to discover and prove the rule to be true. Now, accepting this as true, all that is necessary to do is to be able to dream true, which can be done, keeping in mind the route which the phantom takes and moulding the dream in accordance with it. Naturally, the dream must be of an aviation type. You can dream true, but unless you understand the route taken by the phantom and apply it to the dream will have no pulling out effect upon the astral body. It is only reasonable to suppose that a properly applied dream should do this. The mind is partially conscious during a dream, and the dream acts as a suggestion to the subconscious will, the power which actually moves to the etheric counterpart. Recall the fundamental law of projection. When the subconscious will become possessed of the idea to move the body, coinciding bodies, and the physical body is incapacitated, the astral body will move out of the physical. It is the dream proper which gives the subconscious will the suggestion to move the body, and the physical is incapacitated, the astral being in the zone of quietude, so that the astral body is pulled out by the dream, which must be of an aviation type. The proper dream suggestion is as certain to project the astral body as a conscious suggestion to walk will start you walking subconsciously. When physically awake, it is the same subconscious will which moves the body, or bodies as the case may be. If you ask me which is the most pleasant way to promote astral projection, I should answer by saying that dream control. There are several methods of promoting this seeming miracle, but every method must rest upon the same fundamental law, and assuming that some would like to attempt projection by means of dream control, I shall now give the instructions for doing so. Later, I shall go into other methods. My advice here, however, is that the reader does not attempt any method until first studying the entire contents of this book. Okay, so I'm going to go for 158 through to 159, and then I'm going to stop there at the proper dream will always project the phantom. So the next chapter being the dream control method of projection. Okay. For several nights after you retire, several weeks would be better, watch yourself during the process of going to sleep. Try to concentrate your thoughts within yourself. Think of nothing and no one but yourself. Try to keep a close watch upon yourself. As your consciousness grows dim, try to remember that you are awake, but still going to sleep. You will catch the significance of this when you try it, far more than you do now, while reading it. After you have learned to hold the consciousness well up into the hypnagogic state, until you actually are enveloped in sleep, then you must go a step farther and construct a proper dream to hold in mind while going to sleep. Remember, the dream must be constructed so that you are going to be active in it, and further, it must be constructed so that the action you go through will correspond to the route taken by the phantom when projected. What do you like to do? Swim, ride in an aeroplane, go up in a balloon, a Ferris wheel, an elevator? Be sure and do, in your dream, the thing you like to do. If you select something you do not like, the sensation will interiorize you, for it will be unpleasant. Do that which will give you a sensation which you like, and if you become fully conscious, once you are projected, you will like the sensation which you will actually to get from the phantom floating in the air. This will go a long ways towards ultimate success. To have the action in the dream such nature that you enjoy the sensation. Now let us suppose that you enjoy going up in an elevator. This is the formula I use. You have already learned to hold the consciousness up to the time you go to sleep. Lie on your back, think within yourself. You are lying upon your back on the floor of an elevator. You are going to lie there quietly and go to sleep. And as you enter sleep, the elevator is going to move upward, and you are going to enjoy the sensation going up, as you lie upon your back on the floor of the elevator. Now it is trembling a little, getting ready to go up to the top story of a large building. Slowly, quietly, it is going up, going up, going up. You are conscious that you are moving upward. You are enjoying the sensation to the utmost. It is nearing the top story now. It has stopped. You are going to rise to your feet and walk out of the elevator and round the floor of the upper story of the building. You are going to look all about you as you walk round, observing everything. Now you are going to walk back into the elevator and lie down upon your back on the floor. Slowly you are moving down toward, and now you are lying on your back on the floor of the elevator, on the ground floor of the building. I've stated that this was a dream I constructed for the purpose of inducing the astral body to emerge from the physical. Now, it is important to use the same dream over and over again, for if you try first one dream and then another, the subconscious will not be impressed with the construction of the dream as strongly as if you repeat the same one over and over each night as you are entering sleep. Have the dream vividly worked out in your mind and hold it before you as your consciousness is slowly diminishing. Shift yourself right into the elevator. Just as the moment of the unknownness comes to you and the astral body will move upward in the elevator, it will upright itself above the shell. Just as you dream of standing up when the elevator reaches the top floor, it will move outward. Just as you dream you are walking out of the elevator. Likewise, on the return, as you walk into the elevator, the astral will move to a position directly over the shell. As you lie down, the astral will resume the horizontal position. As the elevator lowers itself, the astral body will lower itself. The dream is a suggestion to your subconscious. It's your subconscious will, and that will acts accordingly. You should be able to remember the dream after awakening. Another advantage of this method is that the astral cable does not annoy one as it does when a projection is induced by other methods. If one can project oneself by dream control and move some distance away and then become conscious, one should never know that cord activity exists. The big problem lies in gaining consciousness when once is projected. Remember that the dream consciousness is not the true consciousness, although you can remember the dream. I have an interesting input in regards to this. So I am a vivid dreamer. I have been since I was a young child, very young, and I do remember it right back to then. So my own personal experience is, as I've got older, is to control the dream itself, or to know when I'm coming out of my body. And probably I'd say 20 years ago, I formed a method of either pinching myself or biting the inside of my mouth gently to bring myself around, because that fear of sleep paralysis, it's referred to in here, was quite scary for me. So I embraced that method in order to bring myself out of it. But so I've been studying this, initially dreams, astral projection for probably about 3 years, but dreams itself and dream analysis and what's going on for a long time, 25 years, a long time, looking into what's going on and why some people get certain reactions to dreams, and why does it feel like it's certain pressures, and why you can remember certain parts of dreams, what they mean, is there a message there, that kind of thing. So my own experience in regards to the astral projection, when I'm actually intentionally sleeping, not intentionally meditating to astral project, if I'm going to sleep, I know I'm not fearful of it anymore, and haven't been for a long time, so I allow the projection to happen. However, the feeling that I get, in my experience, is that of I'm going to sleep, and I can feel myself going to sleep. I'm thinking it, I'm inside my body, I know what's happening, and I'm preparing to go to sleep. It's almost like a bit of a it's not a ritual. It's like the same thing every night. I know how to get myself off to sleep straight away. So I always lie on my back. My back and my neck are always slightly propped up with pillows, and my legs are always straight and never crossed. I was taught that by somebody who does a lot of meditation, who said that the lotus position when it comes to meditation is perfectly fine. But if you're meditating with crossed legs in a laid down position, you're actually promoting any sort of negative energy that you're storing within your body to be looped round by the crossing of the legs. So you're not actually releasing it into the ground. So it's good to keep your legs straight, and then or any negative energy that is being has been stored up in your body can go from the top of the crown of your head down through the soles of your feet, and that enables that energy to be released, and then it's not looping back round in your body without you consciously knowing, really. But anyway, let's get on with this. I'm sorry, I do talk. I am a bit of a waffler sometimes. So my experience is when I'm off to sleep, I will close my eyes. I'm in a very, very comfortable, I'm warm, it's completely dark. It's completely dark where I am. Curtains closed. It's a good temperature. Nothing that's going to irritate me, because I used to find that the standby button on a TV, that would even catch my eye when I was going off to sleep. So I'd have to turn everything like that off. And the strange thing is that when I used to experience sleep paralysis, I was completely petrified of the dark at that time of my life. It was a long time ago, 25 years, 30 years, from when I was a very young girl. And so I was completely petrified of the dark until I started to realise that I could harness this. I could really, really harness it. And it empowered me in a way, because I felt like I was no longer the person that had to, at 30, I mean, I'm nearly 40 now, but at 30 years old, still slept with a nightlight, like a lamp on, because I was so afraid of sleep paralysis. This is how this whole obsession started with astral projection. So the feeling that I get is when I'm comfortable, I'm led back, my eyes are closed softly, they're not squeezed shut, it's a soft feeling, and everything is completely relaxed. And then I'm breathing through my nose and out, breathing through my nose in and out. I'd rarely use the technique of in through the nose, out through the mouth, unless I'm purposely meditating. If I'm going to sleep, my mouth is closed and I'm breathing through my nose, just slowly and peacefully. And then and this is within minutes for my sleep journey. I feel as if somebody is pouring warm water all over my body. It's a very warm feeling, and then almost it feels like the sound of when it's hard to explain. You know, when somebody rubs two pieces of cloth together and it gives you that ooh feeling. It's or if somebody rubs their nails down a chalkboard, when your body gives you that sound and your body reacts with almost like a, oh, that's horrible. Well, that feeling that you get right there is what my whole body feels like, and then I'm gone. And I know that's how my body is telling me and preparing me that I'm going to, that my dream, that's it, I'm off. I'm jumping across the planes at this point, the astral planes. On the opposite side, I also know, which doesn't happen for me anymore and hasn't for many, many years, the sleep paralysis. I know exactly when I'm going to get that experience, because the feeling is the complete opposite. It still has that feeling of I'm warm, I'm comfortable, my eyes are closed softly. However, I get the reaction starts from the top of my body down, and it's a very dark, cold feeling. I'm not cold in body temperature, but I am indeed cold, and I can feel my brain just sinking. I'm just sinking back in my bed, and then that's when the sleep paralysis occurs. But that's my own experience. I do have hundreds of experiences that I'd like to share. But we better get through the book first. Thank you so much for listening. I'll look forward to hearing from you next time. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you.